Hello, my name is Daniel Granados, and I'm here going to talk about implementing a carbon tax. But before I go ahead and talk about my policy change, I need to first talk about the problem at hand and why I'm talking about this. Well, one of the biggest ongoing issues of our time is the effect of climate change and global warming. More specifically, climate change is primarily driven by the accumulation of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide, which are found in the Earth's atmosphere. These gases trap heat, leading to global warming and a range of catastrophic impacts, including sea level rise and the melting of ice caps. Such outgoing issue is highly driven by human activities, primarily from the burning of fossil fuels for energy, industrial processes, and the deforestation, which are the largest contributors to global greenhouse gas emissions. These emissions are boosting the greenhouse effect and fueling the catastrophic climate change that we see today. Climate change poses significant risks to ecosystems, biodiversity, food security, water resources, and human health. Addressing this issue requires urgent and effective efforts to reduce emissions and thus lower the impacts of climate change. Even today, the US is the second leader in CO2 emissions, only second to China at 5,057 million tons of CO2 per year. Now, the US is well aware of this issue, and thus and to battle these impacts, the US has implemented multiple policies that target climate change. For example, the Renewable Fuel Standard Program, which is made to focus on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and expanding the nation's renewable fuel sector while reducing the reliance on imported oil. Another example is the Inflation Reduction Act, which focuses on lowering the energy costs for consumers and small businesses while creating good paying jobs as America's clean energy economy and manufacturing sectors grow. Now, a policies that will further benefit the battle against climate change will be the carbon tax. To put it simply, a carbon tax is an economical mechanism designed to put a price to each ton of CO2 emitted. This will create an economic incentive which will aim to reduce emissions and transition to cleaner energy sources while creating revenue. Simply, the population, the public, will be required to pay the tax based on the quantity of CO2 they release into the atmosphere every year. So, implementing a carbon tax has multiple benefits. These benefits can be environmental, economic, and social. From the environmental side, implementing a carbon tax can lead to significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, contributing to the global efforts to mitigate climate change and thus limit global warming to safer levels. Like I mentioned before, the tax will generate revenue that can be reinvested in clean projects, research, and the development of greener technology. That's for the economic benefits. And for the social benefits, by reducing the air pollution and mitigating climate change-related risks, it has the ability to work alongside the Inflation Reduction Act in creating jobs in the new cleaner industries, after seeing the economic growth in the energy economy. Some of the challenges with this policy are, as many other revenue raising bills, will be the legislative process. Congress is the most difficult stage since it projects the population concerns. For example, the economic concerns, taxes are not entirely well received by the public. No one really likes taxes. And so, along with the economic concerns, it comes with uncertainty regarding the everlasting effects of the tax and the transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable energy. To answer all these concerns and to get more support for the policy, a lot of effort must be put into designing the roots of the carbon policy. The main roots of the policy are the tax rate, the coverage of emissions, and revenue allocation. Determining the tax rate is crucial. It should be set at a level that reflects the social cost of carbon, taking into account the average level of emissions per person in the US, which, according to a study, it was around 20 tons of CO2 per year. That way, it would incentivize people to stop going for these big trucks or stop emitting such much carbon for cars and rather take more cleaner, greener alternatives, for example, electric cars. So the carbon would also need to cover a broad range of emission sources to ensure effectiveness. These may include emissions from the energy production, the transportation industry, and agriculture. Deciding how to use the revenue generated by this tax is a crucial part of this policy. If done correctly, it can raise support among the public and thus continue into its legislative process. Options include investing in clean energy infrastructure, funding research, and the development of greener technologies. While also another option will be providing tax cuts to households and business to help lower the burden on the population. Another significant step of implementing this policy will be how this tax will be introduced into the economy. The way I consider implementing the tax is through a phased introduction, where, in short, the tax will be gradually introduced into the economy to allow businesses and consumers to adjust and adopt cleaner technologies. That way, we can lower the burden of the tax on the people. That way, they can actually go bit by bit, so it won't be such a hard struck on their paychecks every month. Now, another aspect to become the challenges would be the equity of the policy, ensuring that the burden, like I said before, of the carbon tax is distributed fairly while taking into account those low-income households is a must. Another aspect will be investing in the new greener tech industries to produce more jobs to aid the transition from fossil fuels. Thank you again for listening to my presentation, and here are my sources.